Buckle up, because we're merging back into traffic on Radio Nemo's Nemo Nation.
And we are live and direct, streaming live on all of the platforms that you can find, and more coming every day.
Ooh, all day, every day. Is there another not a podcast, but is there another platform you would like to be on?
I don't even know all of the ones we're on.
Guess what?
Yeah.
That's the good That's the question. That's the comment, because we're almost on all of them.
I know, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Well,
hard to escape.
I'm excited for this conversation, Dave.
Yeah. Oh, you're talking about the conversation we're about to have.
Exactly.
With Dave Elniski. Dave is a safety and risk professional and researcher who works for the AMTA, and you all know what that is, especially if you're north of our border, the Alberta Motor Transport Association. Dave is the advisor in safety and compliance. Hey, Dave, good morning and welcome.
Hello. Are you able to hear me all right?
I can hear you just fine, Dave.
You're sounding great, brother.
Beauty.
So where
I appreciate it.
Are you at home now up in Canada, or are you out and about?
I am. I'm out of the home office. Yeah. Where I guess this is home. Yeah. I don't step off the property too much these days now since I've been working remote.
Well, it's so funny. I had the same experience about 10 or 12 years ago now. I moved back here to New Orleans from Nashville and had a home studio. And now I'm in another home, but we're in Edgar Degas' home, and he lived in New Orleans. He was a painter. He painted here for a couple of years in the 1870s. So we're going from my home to a historic home, but we're in the convention center right now. We are at the Trimble Technology Conference, where technology meets the road. So we're talking about some of the latest cloud-based solutions for TMS and AI and ML and all of that stuff here this morning. And we're really excited about what you are doing now and the work that you've done writing this book. You wrote a book, and I'm talking about a book, guys. The book is 452 pages. That qualifies, Dave. Man, that is something else. It's called ProTech and Proactive. And rather than me try to stumble through what it's about, I'm going to ask you to maybe kind of give us, just give us the gist of the book and why did you write it. But before you tell us any of that, I wanted to ask you, when you started this book, did you have any idea it was going to be over 450 pages long?
Well, before we get to, the margins are real wide on those pages. So,
for notes.
A big font, and, it's all, no, it's all good, eh? No, I didn't at all, actually, and that was basically where it started. Was we just had a lot of questions about safety technology, and all over the place, And you're at a convention for technology right now, which I didn't know. So now I'm actually really going to have to give good answers, because this is probably not a place where I'm going to be able just to fake my way through. So, but
no, you're in the land. This is radio. You're in smoke and mirror country now.
Oh, that's good. No, we really didn't know. It was just a matter of, we knew, we're a safety association. AMTA is a safety association, also advocacy, lobbying as well. So, do a lot of different things, similar to, American associations as well. And, myself, I'm a risk and safety management professional, and we just had questions, mostly safety management technology. We have companies come and say, hey, what about this solution? Or how do I integrate this into my operations? And basically we realized we just needed some internal resources on this. We needed to kind of have some answers to some questions, some institutional knowledge. So I was put on a project to kind of try to answer some of these questions, but the questions were big. And what was originally maybe like an internal resource and then maybe a white paper, around December of last year, it was just, this is a book. This really is. We've got a lot to cover here. And got to just figure it out, find a way to tie it all together into a single package, because, it really is, it's an enormous topic. It's an enormous topic, and it's also very, very relevant. If you're in safety, if you're in risk, and probably any job in trucking for that matter, it's not a nice to know anymore, I think anyways. I think if you're a safety professional, it's kind of, you got to know at least what solutions apply to your role,
Yeah, and this will probably take us kind of off track a little bit, maybe out into the weeds. But one of the things that I've noticed, and I just mentioned, I was talking to Elizabeth Barna just a moment ago, and she's a long-time person in the trucking industry. She was with the American Trucking Associations for a long time, and she has her own agency now called EAB Strategies. But one of the things that I brought up here, too, is that there seems to be more focus with the Trump administration now to get trucking in America, don't get me wrong, trucking in America back on track in terms of bringing the element of common sense back into some of the regulations. And does compliance and safety, are they equal? Does compliance equal safety? And that was an age-old question that goes back 50 years in my own career. Does compliance mean safety? Certainly you can be compliant and safe, but does it necessarily equate? And it doesn't, and they're starting to figure that out. So now they're going to go back and restudy some split sleeper berth rules like 5 and 5 and things like that. Stuff that was successful and then got pulled away. So when you finish something like this book, ProTech and Proactive, it seems as if some things are always changing, and they probably changed in the course of working on the book. How long did it take you to write it, and did you find things that you're working down this path, and then you find out 2 days later that, oh, wait a minute, they're changing that rule, possibly, maybe, so here we are, what do we do from here? How much of that was in your way, so to speak, when you were writing?
Well, I mean, in terms of, it's not written to really focus, I guess, on regulations other than to kind of draw the comparison between, what it means to comply with regulations and what it means to actually be proactive in your safety management. So in terms of regulatory change, it's not really the focus, so I don't really see any major issues there. But, about half the book is about describing different types of safety technology before I get into, what you can do with that knowledge. And you know what? That's got a shelf life. It really does. As soon as the book is published, obviously, there's going to be new things, right? There's going to be constant change in that area. So that was kind of an issue going into it. And not just is what it is, but, we just wanted to get that information out there because it could be hard to find, and also hard to find from a reputable source that's kind of being triangulated from a couple of other sources. In terms of how long it took, it's probably about a year's project from when it was kind of, hey, you want to work on this to the, okay, it's all done. But I'll tell you, the last 4 months were they were the heaviest, that's for sure.
Yeah,
quite a lot to get the thing over the line. But it just I like that. But I like this kind of work, so it certainly was fun to do. That's for sure.
Yeah, let me ask you something. Were there any? You kind of know what you're going to be talking about. You kind of writing about. You kind of know the lay of the land before you enter in. Were there any real surprises? Were there stuff that you just flat out did not know, and like, whoa, wait a minute, how did I not know this?
Oh, so much. And the thing is, like, the more the more I learn, the more I really realize, the more I don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
and that's when you know you're really learning, though, isn't it?
Well, it kind of is, and it's and it can be very exciting because you like digging into stuff if a person's curious. But stuff that really surprised me when I did this, probably, a couple of things. I guess first one would just be how poor return on investment information is, like as a metric to evaluate if a person should use safety technology or not in their operations. Should focus on efficacy, how effective it is, and that was that was a little that was kind of surprising. I didn't really find a lot of good information to support ROI as I kind of laid out in the book. But and then the other part of it was just the degree to which, I kind of knew this already, but like the degree to which you have to have the staff resources to be able to manage the technology. Yeah, it can make a lot of efficiency gains and it can help in a lot of ways, but there's very, very few things that you can just pay for and then they work. Automatic emergency braking would be one of them. You spec your trucks with something like that, and now it has it and it works as long as it's maintained. But most things require this ongoing investment of time and possibly money as well to make sure you're actually using the data, using the system, training staff. And that is where I see carriers making most of the mistakes is okay, we brought this thing in, why is it not working? Well, because no one's really tried to make it work. It was like we thought we'd pay for it and that would be it, That's a big issue.
Yeah, that's interesting. This is not a parallel, Dave. Dave Elniski is with us. He is with the Alberta Motor Transport Association, and he has written a book called ProTech and Proactive. It was published earlier this year, exploring fleet safety management technologies. And Dave is talking here with us this morning about the writing of the book and how it came about and some of the surprises he might have found. One of the things too that we seem to we seem to be sold a lot of stuff now. You need this, and this application will solve all of your problems, and you can combine all of these other apps into this one app. And that seems to be the way we need to be going to simplify. We do a show called Tech Talk with TMC, Technology and Maintenance Council, Dave. And Jerry Hubbard is one of he was one of our guests on the program, and many times. And he talked about cab ergonomics quite a bit. And we kind of caught cab ergonomic cluttering early on, because all of a sudden the photograph of a cab in a tractor in a Class 8 tractor looked like the cockpit of an airplane. I mean, my goodness. Today I'm only going to look at the odd numbered gauges or something, because there's so many bells and whistles and gauges, and it became a problem. That became a safety problem. So we have to declutter the cabin and take a look at ergonomics. And then for women and smaller framed people, what about the size and scale of the truck? So all of these things come into play continually, and they all change all the time, So it's really hard to keep up with all of that. And then you're buying stuff, right, in terms of investing in safety technology. It's not just plug and play anymore, is it? Or they tell you it is.
No, it certainly isn't. Well, no, and I mean, it's those are lines, it's a pretty common marketing slogan. I'm not ripping on any particular company, but just this like, hey, I've got this solution for you, the busy company owner, safety person, whomever, whatever. Buy my program, use my app, use my service, and I take care of the safety management for you, or one part of it. And that really is, at its core, kind of a lie, because you can't, as an organization, delegate your responsibility outwards when it comes to safety. So if I were to go and say, okay, well, I'm running my trucking company, I bought this software program, the software program told me, here's all the things I have to do to comply with the regulations, I'm good to go. If I make a mistake, if the software company made a mistake, I'm the one responsible still. I made a bad purchase now. Or I got sold something I shouldn't have, been sold, or whatever, or I didn't use it properly, or whatever. But like, you can't, that is, I think is very tempting, of course, right? Is, oh my gosh, look how complex this regulation is. Could somebody please just take this off my plate? Yeah, that's a very normal feeling, but it doesn't really work that way. And you can't, and the regulations are complex, and I've seen a lot of, technology suppliers just get them flat wrong. And it's like, yeah, I mean, you have to be on top. You have to at least know what it is at a high level you want and what you're trying to accomplish with the safety technology. Because if you're using that tech provider as your primary source of information on if their product's good or not, well, obviously, there's reasons there for what they're telling you to be biased. And it's this multiple sources, this finding evidence, figuring out, is it effective or not? That's the key. And that's like a key principle in the book, too, is like, not only is this stuff effective and here's some evidence for it, but how do you figure that out yourself? So you can actually challenge perhaps what you're being told from one source and know where to go to verify it somewhere else, because that's a big part of it. Sure. Yeah.
It is indeed. It is indeed. Our time right now is about quarter till the top of the hour. We're here at the New Orleans Convention Center, right outside of Hall J, and we are here for the Trimble Technology Conference, where technology meets the road. And we're talking with Dave Elniski. Dave is a safety and risk professional and a researcher, and he's been researching and now has put out a book called ProTech and Proactive about fleet safety management technologies and things like that. You know, one of the things, Dave, you were talking about safety technologies and which ones should we invest in. The idea of saving money by spend, you got to spend money to save money or spend money to make money. Most insurance companies now are going to give you some pretty decent quantifiable discounts and reduced rates for, ADAS and things like that, anti-braking, lane avoidance technology, things like that. There's a lot of balancing going on here in terms of, where you put your dollars and how many ways that return can be made, right?
Oh, absolutely, yeah, and that's why it really gets to the heart of why return on investment data is, well, honestly, it's poor data a lot of the time if you're trying to figure out if something's going to work in your organization or not. And it's kind of ironic because obviously what better metric could tell you if something is saving or making you money than return on investment? That's the whole point of that metric.
Yeah, right.
But it adds a layer of complexity that just, because that's the thing. If I say, okay, well, if you use this program, you get a 42% positive ROI. Okay, great. Well, first of all, is 0 or 100% the break-even point? Because sometimes that's not consistent. And the other thing is, well, over what period of time? Under what conditions? All these, but you have to really know a lot. But if I just instead say, you're going to see this type of collision go down by 42% in this kind of a company in these environments, well, now you can go as the carrier. Figure out what your collisions cost. Don't worry about what someone else's collisions cost. What do they cost for you? And if you don't have that answer, then you got to work on your financial data first before you're ever going to be able to hope to calculate ROI. But if you're able to say, this type of collision cost me this much, this is how many I had over this period of time, and if I put this in, it's going to reduce over a similar period of time by this amount. Well, now you can use your own financial data and figure out your own ROI. But you could strip away that financial layer, get down to the basics of this is how it works, under what conditions, and if it's good or not, and here's some other data besides what the provider's telling you. That's how you can actually really figure it out for yourself. And that's really the core issue with ROI is it gets your attention if you're a business owner for sure. But if you don't dig into the details behind it, there's no guarantee you're going to see anything like that at all.
Yeah, indeed. And again, things that have absolutely nothing to do with trucking or technology whatsoever play into that return on investment quite a bit. And they have their own course changes too that you have to keep up with as well, because they change their principles sometimes, and you kind of get caught in the middle. And if you don't know that they have changed their methods or their modus operandi in a sense, then you get caught short sometimes if you don't know that information. So you got to have somebody, right? You got to have a guy.
You have to. And the thing is, I interviewed some very, very large carriers, some American, some Canadian, when I wrote this book. And some of these companies, like they can employ like a data scientist or something like that. They're at that size. But so, smaller operations might not be able to do that, but that doesn't mean they still don't need that kind of support. So when we're looking at a consultant or a safety consultant or external support, what it means now to be, I am a safety and risk consultant or professional, whatever. Well, what does that really mean? What domains, what areas, what kind of operational experience do you have? Because it really does, if you want to find the right sort of support to help you implement this stuff, it becomes another area where you need to be able to make sure you're matching the service provider with the technology you're intending to use.
Mm-hmm. One of the things, too, that you point out in the book is how to bring safety technology in, implementing best practices to bring in safety technology. One of the things that I always kind of point to is back, oh my goodness, I forget how many years ago it was now, but when the ELD became a requirement here in the States, think it was 2017, December 2017 or something like that. We talked it up quite a bit beforehand, the whole industry did. And then after it became the rule, I asked drivers, I said, well, do you have the ELD? Oh, yeah, I got it. I said, well, what kind of instruction or tutorial did you get on that? And I got to tell you, David, 100% of them said nothing. They just told me it was out there, and that was it. And so there's that. And then we find out like 6 months later that there were all kinds of guys getting into trouble because they just didn't really know how to use the ELD to their advantage, because there were things that you could do to make it work, but they didn't know. So are you still seeing that kind of stuff today? And that's part and parcel of your book too, isn't it?
Oh, definitely. No, we see that for sure. And I mean, you were talking about cab ergonomics for a while. It's relevant here because when we look at, generally speaking, if we're going to say, okay, like when I was trucking, it was all 18-speed transmissions, and that was primarily what I drove. But that was just the part of the industry I was in. It wasn't that long ago. Automatics are still dominant then, and with the automatic, the general consensus in the industry is, okay, well, it's easier, so less training's required. But when a truck adds a feature, that still doesn't mean that no training's required. Because how does the automatic work? Is there a creep mode? Is there not? Is there a low traction mode? How do you use it? But same with ADAS. Well, the automatic emergency braking, drivers should know if that's in there, how it works, what to expect. Lane departure, all these systems, and the ELD fits right in there too. I mean, anytime somebody's given something new and say, hey, you got to use this, or hey, you could use this to help, anybody would need to be trained on that. Why would anybody know to use it without? So I mean, but again, if a company is putting the technology in, but they're not providing any training, they have safety culture issues. They got safety management problems, and it's not just probably that one issue. Where's the ongoing training program, the mentorship, the redundancy, and those are that's part of proactive safety management. And that's not, you don't need necessarily technology for that. You need to have the right philosophies and safety management systems and training in place. So it really is, yes, we got all this technology to assist, but the human element is absolutely not removed from this. And if anything, in a lot of respects, you need a lot more of it in specialized areas to make it effective to see those gains.
Yeah. Dave, you did it and didn't realize it, but you did a segue for me a little bit just a few moments ago, because you mentioned 18 speeds when you were driving trucks, and you still do, because you are in the Army Reserve in Canada, and you get to drive some pretty cool trucks, as you say. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your own history.
Oh, for sure, yeah. So, I mean, from a trucking side, I guess I started. I'd have to see when I got my license. But anyways, yeah. I mean, I've been trucking for a while, and it was. I started out just really for no reason other than I always wanted to do this. I wanted to go ever since I was a kid. I wanted to drive a big truck. So, didn't have kids at the time. Went in, got into long haul trucking. That's what I wanted to do. And after doing that for a few years, I was kind of looking for what's next, and safety was the thing that really stood out to me because, when I was on the road, that was very real, right? I'm going through the scales. That's my license on the line, so I took pride in making sure bumper to bumper, my truck's in good shape. Load is secured properly, all that kind of stuff. So that just kind of felt like the area that interested me the most. And then safety management, now AMTA. And then alongside that, I ended up going back to school. I did my master's in women and gender studies, studying social issues and safety management and trucking. And then now switched to public health, doing a PhD there. So it's unrelated from what I do at AMTA. Like, they're not officially linked together, but the subject matter is all the same. This is just something I'm very interested in. And as for the military, that's winding that down now. It's been a little over 12 years, and with school, work, family, and a bit of a sore back now, it's the time to move on. But I really very much enjoyed what I did in the reserves, and that was an activity to maintain just out of a sense of service. I just felt that if I am able to, should the time come, need to be called upon, well, I want to be I want to be in that position, able to help. But yeah, it's a lot of fun to off-road a heavy truck that you don't own, and maybe have to, cover their maintenance costs of. Yeah, there's some fun stuff I got to drive for sure, and yeah, I'm gonna miss that.
How has the book been received this year? Been out several months now. What are folks telling you?
I've heard positive things, but I mean, maybe just people are being nice to me. I don't really know. I think it's been good.
I'll take it anyway.
I mean, yeah, exactly. I just don't listen to the critics, and life's a lot better, right? No, I think it's been received well. It's been sort of. It's definitely serves its purpose. Because really, I mean, yes, we've made it available digitally for free. You can also purchase it on Amazon. We just cost recovery, the lowest Amazon will let us charge it for, because we want the information to be out there. That's part of the mission of the AMTA, and other associations are going to be like that too. But probably, in a lot of respects, one of its central purposes, though, is to be an internal resource as well, so we can see, well, what part of this are people most interested in? And then if we want to run a marketing campaign or build some training or do a talk on it, we can pull from this now. And so that's kind of where we're kind of in a phase now where it's like, okay, the book's out there. We're getting some information on it. What should we do next in this area? And I'm kind of curious. I mean, I don't know. Is that something that you're seeing associations down in the U.S. doing? Kind of putting out resources on safety technology, or kind of getting into this space?
Not so specifically, no, Dave. I mean, and that's the word right there, resource. I think this is already becoming a resource. Your book.
Well, I hope so. I hope so. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know what would be next, or what would be another way to present it. I mean, in some respects, having that big descriptive section of all those different kinds of safety technology, it's almost better if that lived on a website. You could update them, add new ones. It would always be dynamic.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
I like the book format too, though.
I understand. I understand. Well, sir, it's really been a treat talking to you, Dave. Really a chance to kind of feel like I've almost kind of got to know you too, long distance here. Hope we can talk again. Congratulations on the book, and we will be in touch. Dave Elniski, and of course he is with the Alberta Motor Transport Association.